Welcome back, everybody, to Freaky Tales on this special Friday with my very special guest. And before I introduce him, I just want to make some minor announcements. Tomorrow, I'll be going to Horrorville pop-up out in Southgate. So if anybody out there wants to go out there and just say what's up, I'll be walking around. I'm not going to have a pop-up stand or nothing like that. I'll just be walking around. I usually try to attend these events. So this will be my first one this year. It's called Horrorville out in Southgate, and I just gave you guys a plug. So Google it if you guys want to go check it out. I'll be out there walking around. With that being said, also, many of you are fans of The Spy Smuggler. Many of you guys remember The Spy Smuggler. Many of you guys like The Spy Smuggler. So with that being said, starting next month, The Spy Smuggler will be back. So I hope you guys are excited for that. Very knowledgeable, and he's got a lot of things he wants to share, and he's back by popular demand. Many of you have requested him, so he will be back. Other than that, we will be taking calls soon, and we want you guys to call in and share your freaky tales, call in and share your stories, whether it's happened to you, whether it's happened to your family, whether it's happened to your abuelita, whether it's still going on, maybe in a friend's life and they've shared the story with you. If you want to remain anonymous, you don't have to say your name when you call, but we want to encourage you to be a part of the show. We want to thank everybody who has subscribed, everybody on the live chat, everybody who calls, everybody who's liked, and people who even dislike the channel. It doesn't matter, you're still watching, so thank you for that. And without further ado, please allow me to introduce for part 2, Pablito. Thank you for being here, Pablito.
Thanks for having me, Tony, man. It's good to see you, man.
You know,
as always.
Yes. Last time you were here, man, you had a lot of people shook. I mean, there was a lot of things that you said that actually could be in a movie, you know. And I know your background is your family at one point, I don't know if they still do, if I'm correct, owned a chain of mortuaries, and that was pretty much how you grew up in, if I'm correct.
Yeah. You know, it's like every neighborhood has the neighborhood mortuary. Like you told me, the one, was it McNerney's?
McNerney's.
McNerney's, yeah. So every neighborhood usually has, you know, their own mortuary. So we were that mortuary, you know.
Yeah.
In the Florence district of, you know, Los Angeles, you know, 9001 area code. And, you know, with that being said, it's like, you know, that particular one, it was called Gara Holman at the time. And that particular one, you know, ever since diapers, you know, we were intertwined to that place because of my dad.
Yeah.
Like I said, my dad embalmed there, and my mom did rosaries at night.
Right. You know, just to give a quick recap, there were some stories that stood out to me. There was one where you had shared where there was one individual that was actually caught on film dancing with a dead body. You know, and I think that one shook a lot of people, because I think out of, other than the ones where I've had the Spy Smuggler here, you are probably the second one where people quote the most as far as the Freaky Tales episodes. They always say, bring Pablito back. He has some crazy, amazing stories. So you're back by popular demand.
Oh, wow.
So, but
there's a lot of people out there that I guess could relate to this or find interest in this. I mean, to me, you know, I'm not trying to sound weird or nothing, but it's kind of fascinating. You know what I mean? Just, you know, death itself, and, you know, just everything about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like I said, I've been around it since diapers. You know, it's pretty much, you know, I know everything about it. You know. Yeah,
you know, and that's one thing. And I've shared this plenty of times before. I'm not very good with death. I cannot be around dead bodies. It's just something about it that I just cannot deal with. I don't know if it's anxiety. I don't know if it's like, you know, when some people are claustrophobic, they can't be in a closed room. That's almost
I
the
get
way
that
I feel.
at times, yeah.
You know, with around the deceased.
My dad's answer, my pop's answer to that would be like, it's the living that you should be afraid of, not the dead. You know what I mean? The dead can't harm you. You know, they've passed on.
Now, let me ask you this, and this might be somewhat of an odd or weird question. Do you believe, let's just say, for an example, that you had someone who was living and maybe he might have been involved in some type of, I don't know, the occult. He passes away. You guys embalm him. You guys getting ready for his funeral or whatnot. Is it possible that whatever was clinging on to him can actually follow you home?
Yeah, and it's happened. You know, I don't know if I told you in the last episode, but my dad brought some crazy ass spirit home. You know, one followed him in the door one time and didn't want to leave for a while. I don't know if I remember if I spoke about that the last time. You know.
Yeah.
But you know, I'll tell you again if you know. So we moved. You know, this was in Huntington Park. You know what I mean? And there was a mortuary in Huntington Park on Gage and Seville, and we had just moved into these townhomes right next to the mortuary. That took up the whole block and whatnot. So every morning my dad didn't have to drive to work. He would just get up and walk to work and whatnot. It was real convenient for him and so on and so forth. But just weird stuff started to happen, you know, at the house, you know. And I think I talked about this before, but let me get right to it, you know. One night, my sister was asleep. And you know what's funny? From what I'm told and what I've kind of even seen, because I've been around this so long, is that spirits and those sort of things, they get involved with people that are more susceptible. You know, some people, I guess, they have a certain type of barrier where I guess a spirit can't, you know, penetrate or mess with them. And there's some people that would just jump right in them and just, you know, start driving them crazy. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, it was like 3 a.m. one night, you know, and my sister we're all asleep in the house, and my sister just wakes up in the middle of the night just screaming bloody murder, like someone's killing her, you know, screaming from the top of her lungs, you know. So I grab my gun and I run in there. I'm expecting having to kill somebody, you know, to save my sister, you know. Yeah. And there was nobody there. But you turn the light on, and it was a heavy scent of, you can even look this up, you know, it's usually cheap tobacco scent, smell like cigars, smoke scent, or a real cheap like Avon type of perfume or something, you know. And that's how it always would smell in my sister's room, and just only her room only. But anyway, so I ran in there and I'm like, what happened? What's going on? And she said somebody told her to get up, wake up, you know. So that's when, you know, and besides a bunch of other things, and something even happened with me that freaked me out during the day and made me sit outside until my parents got home. And I was like, I don't know, 15, 16, so it wasn't like I was a little kid. But anyway, so I guess we decided to, like, you know, I recommend everybody, you know, I mean, those that believe or those, I mean, you know, if you're gonna get a house or whatever and you're Catholic, have a priest come there and bless that house, you know what I mean?
Right, because we never know what might have taken place there before.
Exactly, and not only that, the second we had that done, the next day, gone.
Yeah, you
never had those problems ever again.
You know, and that's one thing that a lot of people don't do. They don't ask the history, either that apartment, that condo, or the home, because you do have the right to ask that anything happened here that I need to know about.
Yeah, and you know, they're supposed to disclose all this, all the bad. Like if, you know, there was a triple homicide in that property, you know what I mean? They need to tell you that. You know
they need to tell you that, and believe me, I don't care how nice that place is, I do not want to live there. You know, I do not want to live there.
I live there if they give me a good price, you know what I mean? Because I wouldn't worry about them, you know.
Well, I just wouldn't want to walk in and then see a shadow person standing, you know, at the corner of your house.
You know, you know, it's crazy. You know, it's like, I mean, I don't really dabble too much in it, or like really like, because I've experienced it hand on, so I don't like to investigate or get online or nothing. But they say when you commit suicide that you're gonna, they say you don't go to heaven because it's a sin, and you linger around and for eternity or whatever it is. So I'm sure there's a lot of those around. You know what I mean? It's,
and that's something that no one. We had an episode here where we talked about death, and I'll just throw on some of the popular beliefs out there. There are people that believe that you go to heaven. There are people that believe that there is a hell. There are people that believe that there is a purgatory, and then there are people that believe that there are just souls that just linger on. Maybe they're not ready to go yet, and then some people just believe that you just cease to exist. I've always had a problem with you just cease to exist, only because if that's the case, then really life is pointless.
I mean, that's a whole deep conversation. I mean, I was just brought up to believe there's God and there's a devil, heaven and hell. Do I think much beyond that? Not really, you know what I mean? Because when I'm gone, and you know what I mean? Whatever it turns out to be, it is, you know what I mean? So, all I know is that I've seen every aspect of death that's, beyond imaginable.
Right. Here's an interesting question. Have you ever been there when people have taken their last breath?
Yeah. I seen one guy one time, and this was in the neighborhood, growing up. We pull up to this liquor store, in kind of the heart of the neighborhood, and how on a lot of liquor stores, either in front of the liquor store, on the side of the liquor store, across the street, there's a bunch of people hanging out, whether it's guys drinking or whatever it was, this, that, and other. And so I guess there happened to be a few paisas right there, just hanging out in the corner, just drinking, doing their thing and whatnot. And it's funny because it just happens like within a split second. You know what I mean? Like, we literally pulled up to this liquor store, hopped out. We knew the owner, so we were there to talk to him. So it's not like we were got in line to buy some beer or nothing like that or anything. We walked in, said what's up. We heard a big one shot, boom. This is broad daylight. It's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We heard one shot, boom. We walk back outside. We look across the street, and there's this paisa on the floor. Evidently, he just beat some other paisa up, and that paisa went and got his brother. And his brother came back and jumped out his truck and put a 45 to his head and blew his brains out, like right then and there, point blank range. So I walked up to the guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And his head was blown up, and that's when I witnessed the guy die, basically. You know what I mean? He took like 3 big, deep grasps of breath, you know what I mean? He wasn't going to survive. Even if they had did that in the emergency room, he wasn't going to survive. You know what I mean? It was a huge caliber.
Just too much damage.
Too much damage, close range.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I felt bad for the guy, you know what I mean? But, that was their business, Even when the sheriffs rolled up, they were like, who's seen what? The minute the cops showed up, everybody just walked away, you know what I mean?
Right.
But, so I got a bunch of other stories, but that was one that kind of stood with me because, it happened within seconds,
Yeah. The reason why I asked that is because I've had a lot of friends, and even myself, that family members and friends that have passed away, and they were there, and I was there when some of these friends took their last breath, and it's almost like they gasp their last breath out and they leave their mouth open. I witnessed that a lot. Now, the reason why I brought that up with leaving the mouth open, because people have told me that have supposedly studied demonology, claim that whenever you are possessed or get possessed by an evil spirit, they believe that these evil spirits enter through the mouth. And almost like a spirit goes in, and then when you give up your spirit, or some people say they give up the ghost when they pass away, they give it up through their mouth. Whether that's true or not, but there has been many people that have told me when my mother passed away, or when my brother passed away, or when my friend passed away, they gave their last breath and they left their mouth open. So speaking to certain people that have studied demonology have told me that they believe that whenever you are possessed, it enters through the mouth. Now, I say that to say this. I've had people that have told me that they have felt something enter through their mouth. And I've asked them, like, what do you think it is? And one guy somewhat said it this way. He said, it's like when you were a kid and you blow up a balloon and you let it go and that air goes back in your mouth. He said, that's how it felt. And I said, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, and I was never the same now. He told me that years later, he ended up going to a church service. And there was a pastor there that prayed over him, and he said that's when it came out. He said, I began to act like a dog, and I had no control over it. He said they had to actually cast out this evil spirit.
Have you ever watched, I mean, because it's not like they show this all the time, or it's just a common thing to see. But like, let's say like National Geographic or something.
Yes.
Where you're in Africa or in one of those Haiti or one of those countries, practicing whatever religion they're practicing, right? You ever see where like they're all dancing and whatnot, this and that and the other, and all of a sudden, what appears to be a spirit jumping in that person?
Yes.
That's real.
That's real.
No, that's real. I've seen it with my own eyes in other countries, you know what I mean? And you know, because it's just something to see, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like people gotta grab that person, and you know, I've seen them try to, like, you know, the spirit will want to start swinging. They gotta grab you because you start swinging and sticking your tongue out and speaking this weird tongue, like this weird, I don't even know,
like a language. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's you know, it'll shake you up if you know, you know. So I've seen that a lot, you know what I mean? And it's the energy and power that's within that circle and all those people dancing, and you could feel it. You could be outside of that and just feel what that is. So it's like, and it's weird because you don't know who it's going to jump into. Like, let's say there's 4 of us here right now. It could jump in any one of us. You know what I mean? You know, so I mean, I know that's real because I've seen it and I experienced that. You know,
there was a guy that, and you just mentioned like one of those channels that, what happened was that there was a documentary where this guy's documenting, and I don't remember exactly what country it was, but he was in a country where, like the whole village was dancing, like what you're saying, and what happened was, this guy's videotaping this guy that's speaking in a different language.
I've seen that. It's like you just sit there and you're just like blown away, like, wow, what is it? He's saying something.
Yeah. So
he's communicating to someone or some other realm or something. You know, these people in here just making all this up. You know what I mean?
Right. And what happens is, while they're filming him, this guy is dancing and he's talking in his weird language. His eyes are rolling back and he sticks out his tongue, and I remember, and he starts slicing it with a knife.
Oh, wow.
He starts slicing it, and this camera is videotaping him, and then he starts slicing his arm. So finally they call somebody to speak to him, and he turns around and his eyes are like rolling backwards, and they're asking him like, who are you? And now keep in mind, this guy doesn't speak no English, but he spoke English.
Oh, wow. Yeah, see?
Yeah, and he said this, and I thought it was weird. He said that he was a spirit of a Viking.
Well, okay, whether you want to believe it or not, he was the spirit of a Viking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Vikings speak English. They don't speak that crazy language he was talking about earlier. You know?
And when he was speaking in English, speaking it perfectly. And when he snapped out of it, he went back to his regular language.
And couldn't speak one word of English, probably.
One word of English. And that is one thing that actually this professor told me years ago, that most people that are demon possessed, he says, can speak different languages. He said, because whatever these demons, these demons have been here since day one. Since day one. They could jump into you, take over you, and speak that whatever language they want. So, you know, and that's just crazy because, you know what? I witnessed that several times. I don't care to ever witness it again. You know, the majority of the times that I witnessed it I was mostly in my 20s when I saw that stuff. And the majority of the people that were getting these evil spirits casted out, they acted like animals. They acted like animals.
Okay, for sure. They start crawling around on the ground.
Yes.
Like if they're a wolf and they make those animal sounds. I mean, I've seen all of that before. You know, it's like, I remember like when I was growing up, you know, one thing I really kind of want to hand to my dad is like, when he told me to sit down and watch a movie,
Yeah.
it was usually a movie that, you know, I thank him that, you know, he did that, you know, like The Godfather and The Shining and all these other movies and whatnot, you know, Mad World, whatever, you know, from old or whatever. But one of them was The Exorcist.
Why does everybody always bring that up?
And he probably told me to watch that movie. I was probably a little too young to watch it because I don't think there's a movie out there that just, you know, would freak one out the most, you know what I mean? And it's funny because, it's not funny, but there was this girl, I still talk to her, you know, she was working with Jerry and I. We had an office, we opened up an office in Mexico City in La Condesa. And she was telling me that we were managing this girl that was one of the finalists for La Voz in Mexico City, right?
That's like an American Idol, sort of.
It was just like The Voice. It's The Voice here,
Uh-huh.
just in Spanish,
Right.
in Mexico City. The production is just as big and the whole 9 yards, right? And Jerry and I were managing one of the finalists that made it all the way to the end, but she lost. But this group by the name of Camila wanted to put her in the group, you know, and if anybody knows who Camila is, you know, they're a very big group. Because I guess one of the members had just left, and his name is Mario Don, wanted to put her in, and me and Jerry, I told Jerry, this is the lick right here, you know what I mean?
Right.
You know, we could pull this off, you know what I mean? This, you know, this is going to be a good one. But the singer chick had this dude hang out with her all the time. You know what I mean? This dude, and I saw it coming, but the girl that worked for me that I had on top of the day-to-day over there with them, because I'm here and they're there, I saw that guy was going to be a problem, you know what I mean? And it was going to somehow just get in between our business and whatnot, and I was right. Anyway, to make a long story short, he tried to get rid of my girl that was in the equation, that was signed to us, because she was signed to us. We were managing her.
Right.
That guy didn't have no contract with her, nothing, but he in his mind was a fan trying to act like, it was just, you know what, it was like the same thing with, like, kind of like Selena, kind of.
Okay.
You know, this dude, you know, kind of came out of nowhere and whatnot. And anyway, he threatened my girl with, like, you know, brujeria and santeria and all this crazy stuff, right? And she called me up all scared and this and that and other. And she's like, yeah, this and that and other. I says, well, look, we can't really say anything now. If you want to ask me the truth, we can't say nothing now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't know who he knows.
Yeah.
Because if he knows the right people, then you're going to need some help, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if he's just all puro pedo, then, you know, then just, you know.
Yeah.
You know, we even tried to, like, she went to, like, the police department to get some kind of, like, I don't know if it was a restraining order. I don't know the process down there. But anyway, it was some kind of orden or something where he couldn't hang around with her no more. And he had the singer brainwashed. So I knew something was going on there, right? Something was up about this guy. I just sensed it. So all of a sudden, Tony, man, I've never seen anything like this in my life. I'm recording this on my phone, literally shaking, you know, because she got possessed.
Really?
This dude knew some people. And if I can find the video, I'll show you. And I think I talked about this video last time, but I've never seen anything like this in my life. And I'm recording her in broad daylight, and like the evil spirit was like taunting me.
Wow.
He was like cussing at me, and you know, and then be real happy, and she'd be happy, and all of a sudden she'd be like going, like her tongue would like like
a snake.
flip like 100 miles an hour, and then she'd like act like she'd be paralyzed, and then she between all that she'd be like, "Help me, ayúdame." I felt so bad, and then it would oh man, it was the scariest thing I've ever experienced in my whole life. You know what I mean? And I felt so bad for her. Like she was bedridden and couldn't get out of bed, and this stuff was happening, scaring her kids, and they had to take her kids away, and I think her husband was even scared and jump ship too. But I mean, it was so scary that I really kind of couldn't blame them. You know what I mean? I told her something's very, very wrong with you. You know.
And you believe that guy was the part
of course.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody can say whatever they want. You know what I mean? But I've had too much experience with this, you know what I mean? And to know that wasn't the case, you know what I mean?
You know, I talked to a guy, I want to say 96, 97, somewhere around there. This guy claimed to be a Satanist, you know. Very, 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 though, intelligent guy. Graduate major university. And very, very smart, but at the same time, I thought very dumb when it came to worshiping the devil. Okay, so he is telling me a story about, you know, what they believe in or whatnot. But he says something, because I asked him, is it possible for like a Satanist or someone to put a curse on you or something like that? You know, and he says, yes, it's very possible. If you want to call it that, it curses. He said, but one thing that we do know and we don't play around with, he said that whenever we do something towards someone, he said, it will come back to us. He said, so you have to be very, very careful, because is it really worth you hurting that person, but knowing it's going to come back to you as well?
Well, there's just some people that's all they do.
Yes.
So what happens with them?
Yeah.
It probably came back to them 1,000 times and nothing happens. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's just people like that on this earth, in this life, unfortunately. You know what I mean? There's some people, it's like this, Tony. If you sit down with some lady right now, and any of you, for that matter, listening and watching right now, let's say you sit down with this lady right here, she walks into the room, never seen you in your entire life, don't know anything about you, your name, nothing. And all of a sudden, she tells you your innermost deep skeletons that you have in your closet that nobody knows but you. Right. She breaks you all down. What are you gonna think? You're gonna think she's crazy? You're gonna think that, oh, she just talked, she made this up or something? What do you say to that, Tony? Only that you know. Right. No one else knows. And she just breaks you down, rah, rah, rah. And you're just sitting there, you know what I mean? Right. You know, what do you say to people like that? Some people do behold these certain powers, whether you want to believe it or not. You know what I mean?
Now, I'm going to explain to you and I've sat with this man because he's a professor and he's the one that teaches demonology, okay? I actually have a book that he gave me where it pretty much teaches me what he studied, okay? But here's what he said. This is his answer, okay? He said this: evil spirits have been here since day one. He says, evil spirits know everything about you. He said, if you have an evil spirit that follows you, that torment, not necessarily possessed you, but let's just say oppresses you, attacks you, follows you around.
Just poke at you.
Yes, poke at you. Whatever you do in the dark, whatever you do behind closed doors, he sees everything. So now here comes another individual that may be possessed by an evil spirit. His spirit now bears witness with that spirit that's following you. That spirit now tells this spirit your innermost secrets. Now this person can say, I know what you do behind closed doors. I know where your safe is at. I know where you hide your money. You think nobody knows about that lady. You think, and these evil spirits are communicating back and forth. Now this person is thinking, what the hell was going on? And that's the best that I can somewhat explain it the way he explained it to me in a nutshell. Whether I believe that or not, I'll let the people decide that. But there are people out there that I can actually see through people.
I'm from Missouri. I'm from the Show Me State. You know what I mean? I'm about experience. You know what I mean? Right. If we're going to talk about experience, let's talk about it. But if you're going to talk about something, reading some book, you know what I mean? I could write a book. You know what I mean? My little sister could write a book. I'm about hands-on and,
Right.
and up close and personal and the experience. You know what I mean?
Right.
To me, anything beyond that is like, okay,
You'll listen.
I mean, yeah, and I'm not dissing anybody's beliefs or what they think or this, that, and other. I think if that guy had been around as many dead bodies and death scenarios, and and just seeing that firsthand and have experience to where like you have a good friend of yours and and he's been depressed and no one ever knew it, and he was depressed because his mom and dad separated, and he got a hunting rifle and went in his bedroom and put it in his mouth and
Right.
blew his brains out, and his grandma came home and found him. You know what I mean? So if those people that are telling you these things had those really up close and personal experiences, then okay, you know what I mean? But I just go by with what I have seen and
Right.
and dealt with,
Right. Yeah, I'm willing to listen. That's why I said.
Me too. I mean, I don't. I'm willing to give everybody a chance to speak their piece. And I mean, who am I? You know what I mean?
Right, right. And like I said, I like to listen to different people's point of views, different people's beliefs. We had an episode here where we were allowing callers to call in, and we would ask them, just ask them a fair question. Do you believe in life after death? Do you believe that there is a heaven and there's a hell? What happens when you die is the question. And the majority of the people called said there is a heaven and there is a hell. There were some that were saying you just cease to exist. Some people said you come back. It's very interesting to hear different people's point of views, because in actuality, you've never died, I've never died and came back. We can't tell people what we saw on the other side. Now, there are books and there are people that say these things, and there might be interesting stories, but we don't know. And that's why we were bringing up these questions. So when people call, what happens when you die? And I think that's like the $1 million question. No one knows.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, I don't know too many people that say, well, I died yesterday, but I came back, at night, and this is how it went down. You know what I mean? And, I mean, I wish I could, hear somebody say something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's, I don't know. Just death to me is very unfortunate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we all have to deal with it. You know what I mean? And hopefully we all just have easy deaths and, die in our sleep, or,
Right.
dying doing something we like or love or something, you know what I mean? Because I've seen a lot of real crazy deaths, and you know what? And, there's a lot of sick people in this world, you know what I mean? No, really sick people, like
Yeah.
where it's kind of hard to believe type of sick people. For example, I was with the LA County coroner with my dad. We were picking up a dead body, and I told you last time it's kind of, you're in there, everybody's got their gurney, and so we're sitting down waiting. We got our gurney and our paperwork and whatnot, and as we're picking up, the LA County coroner vans are all lined up outside, and they're rocking and rolling. They're bringing bodies in from everywhere, drowning, suicide, homicide, AIDS victim, natural causes, everything, So I remember one day that, they were bringing this one body in. And like I told you last time, the investigators are not supposed to tell anybody who, what, or why, or nothing like
Right.
that. But my dad had such a good rapport with everybody. Everybody loved my dad. My dad was a joker and whatnot, this, that, and other. So every time they'd see my dad, they'd be, hey, Joe, what's up? Investigators, everybody. I even met Dr. Noguchi. He was that famous pathologist behind that. What was that one big case? God, it was huge. It was the coroner's office was in a big old ringer because of that. Anyway, I don't remember. But anyway, so they were bringing a body, and it was weird because there was like, you could tell because it was covered in a sheet, but the county sheets are real thin, and and the way the glare of the room or whatever it was, you could see through the sheet somewhat, and there was a big knife sticking out the stomach of this little, it was like a little Asian chick, you know what I mean?
Oh.
And I noticed that there was 2 implants kind of like on the side, you know what I mean?
Oh, no.
And I was like, whoa,
What happened
what
there?
happened there, So my dad, again, it was a very well-known coroner's investigator by the name of Scott Carrier. He always came out in the big famous, all the big famous
cases.
yeah, everything that, So my pops is like, hey, Scott, what's going on right here? And he says, well, he says this was a situation where there was an Asian couple, right? And they were like mid-20s, maybe early 30s. And this is where it's what I'm telling you, just people are just fucking weird, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He said that the Asian couple, their thing was, both of them, their thing was to invite some dude over so the dude could watch that dude bone his own lady. You know what I mean? So I was like, wow, you know what I mean? I just can't even begin to think fucking about that one, you know what I mean? Let alone what took place after the fact, right? So I guess that's their thing, you know what I mean? If it's their thing, whatever, So one day the guy, and I guess he was the one in charge of calling the dude and setting it up. Well, anyway, he comes home from work one day and the dude's boning his old lady.
And he just lost it.
He lost it. Grabbed a big old hunting knife. The dude got away. I guess he kind of even let the guy go. His beef was with her. You know what I mean?
Because she let it happen.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I guess he was like, he didn't put a gun to your head or whatever, but he kind of created a monster, if you ask me, you know what I mean? But anyway, he cut her implants out and stuck that big hunting knife right in the middle, smack dead middle of her chest.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Some people are weird, man. You know what I mean? That's how do you even begin to even explain or talk about that one right there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, when it comes to suicide, sad to say, I've had a lot of friends, and kind of to piggyback off of what your story, I had a lot of friends that actually committed suicide, and it saddens me to even talk about it because according to the stories that I heard, once again, these are just stories that I heard of why he did it. He'd come home, find out that either his wife or his girlfriend was cheating, and he'd kill himself. And I've had many, and when I say many, at least 10 friends that, Pablito, I'll even go as far as saying this. Over gang violence, I've had friends that killed themselves more than I've had friends that have been killed by gang violence. And the majority of the time, it's because of a female.
And California's got, 7 females to 1 male?
Right.
I mean, that's a crazy one right there. I never even would even have those thoughts.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And one thing, and not to talk about or to put down or anything like that, because I'm sure there are people tuned in that I'm sure had family members that have committed suicide, and it's sad because those family members miss them. I've had friends that have committed suicide, and of course we miss them. The thing about suicide is that not only did you hurt yourself, did you kill yourself, but you destroy a lot of other people that miss you.
I mean, what's that saying? Suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. I look at it like this. We all need help in some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? If whatever we're doing, we can't save the world by ourselves. Especially those who are like in dark places and suffer from depression and had, just real screwed up upbringings. Those are the people that need the love and the attention and those are the people that need to be looked out for, you know what I mean? A lot of times it wasn't even their fault, you know what I mean? They didn't ask to be born into that or, having to be dealt those type of cards,
Right.
You know what I mean? So I really feel for those people right there. And, to me, it's sad. Nobody should take their life. Life's too precious, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's a shame that it has to come to that, I know I don't want to sound like, some suicide prevention counselor or nothing like that, but, I know there's help and people that can be helped, you know what I mean? And, I guess I assume when you're in those places, and that's probably the last thing you're thinking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, I just wish people would just wouldn't, you know, just take it there. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Yeah, you know what? And you're absolutely right. But switching gears up a little bit, you know, I know last time you were here, you shared a bunch of stories, and then you said that you had other ones that you wanted to share as well. You said, because I know you always tell me, Tony, you know what? If you only knew everything that I know, I got so many stories, we can go on for hours. And it's very, very true, because every time we talk, you're always pretty much sharing, you know, a lot of the things that you've seen and experienced, you know. Is there anything or any story that stands out that maybe you didn't share last time that was really something that, how would you say, either shook you, that still, it is still...
We could be here all night. Okay, so, you know, at this mortuary in Huntington Park, my dad was usually like the main embalmer there and whatnot. But let's say my dad's embalming elsewhere because my relative have several mortuaries and they need him somewhere else, whatnot. And a body came in at Huntington Park and they needed someone to embalm it. Usually they'll call, you know, it's like calling a flatbed or something, or AAA. You could get an embalmer or someone to come down to take care of the body, and, you know, you pay them their fee and whatnot. And, you know, the job is done, you know what I mean? You know, I guess my dad couldn't do it at that particular time. For some reason, he was working. My dad was a workaholic, you know. He'd be embalming bodies all hours of the night, all during the week, and I'd usually be with him. So I guess this one body came in, and this is crazy, you know what I mean? But my dad made a joke out of it, you know. My dad was like that, you know. When one really should be joking about stuff like that or whatever. So they bring this body in, and the guy's about to embalm this body, okay, you know, and he's preparing, putting his gloves, putting the formaldehyde in the embalming machine, getting the choke cart. The choke cart is like a big, long, I would describe as like a big, long needle that's connected to the embalming machine where the embalming fluid goes in the choke cart. So when it's like you stab the body to ingest it with the fluid and whatnot, right? So he's getting everything ready. And all of a sudden he hears, So, you know, I guess he just didn't pay attention or didn't want to pay attention and whatnot. But he heard it again. To make a long story short, he was about to chop this guy up that was alive.
What the hell?
Okay, he was alive. Okay. So I guess the first thing they teach you is when that happens, you know, what do? You call 911, you know what I mean? So he called the paramedics, and they didn't believe him. They came in, he says, look, I was about to embalm this body, but this guy's moaning, he's grunting, and you know what I mean?
Right.
He was alive. You know what I mean?
Wow.
What happened was, I guess, he was under doctor's care. And when you're under doctor's care, the doctor will sign the death certificate right away. And it prevents you from going to the alley kind of corner where they chop you up and do an autopsy and open your cranium, and it's just horrible. They just chop you up like you're at a meat market, right?
Right.
But if you're under doctor's care, you go straight from, I guess, let's say he died at home, he could go straight to whatever mortuary the family picks, right? So that's I guess he died at the hospital, right? I guess if something was wrong with his heart or something, he died at the hospital, and they put him in the freezer. So he was only in the freezer for a couple hours because it happens fairly quick, you know.
Right.
You know, he passed away, and you notify the family, and usually they have a mortuary on deck that they've been thinking about they were going to go to in case this ever happened and whatnot. So sure enough, that process happened real quick. They got him out the morgue at the hospital, and they took him straight to the mortuary. So he supposedly died. They put him in the morgue for a few hours, several hours, and from there he went to the mortuary. So what happened was, I guess he kind of thawed out, and he kind of came to. Wow. So he died the next day, and they brought him back. So if my dad was there the next day to embalm him, you know.
Wow.
And what does my dad do? My dad like walks up to him and like, hey, you know, you're back, or, you know, wow, can I open you up? Are you gonna, you know, wake up on me? My dad said something crazy or something.
So So this guy was alive the whole time, or do you think he just came back?
No, he was kind of alive the whole time. You know what I mean? It's just like I guess he went into some sort of like I would say coma or something, and just and they pronounced him dead without really like. I mean, because I guess his heart rate stopped or something. I guess he died for a few hours or whatever. You know what I mean? And they put him in the freezer, and you know, in the freezer, obviously you're gonna thaw up. You know what I mean?
Right.
It wasn't a long frame. It's not like he was in the freezer for 2 days and then came back. Then I would be like, okay.
Right.
This all happened within a few hours. You know what I mean? Because he was at the hospital and they were already in contact with the mortuary and whatnot. But you know that one probably, and I'll never forget. There's not too many females that I've encountered in all the years of this business that I see that want to be in this business and have interest in being in the mortuary business, right? You know, but I'll never forget this one. And she graduated from like mortuary and bombing college. Like she went all out, like she was going to be a full-blown embalmer. So they hired her and they started her off, and I think it was like her second day or even maybe her first. So she was working a rosary at night, right? And usually when the rosary is taking place and the priest is speaking, nobody's lingering in the hallways, nobody's sitting around, everybody's in the chapel, right? Because it's going down, right? So that usually gives the like her, whoever's working the service, it gives them a little break to maybe go upstairs, have a cup of coffee, smoke a cigarette, you know, a little breather, and then go back downstairs, and you know. So she says as she was going upstairs, she noticed there was this old lady down the hall that looked like she was lost, like she didn't know where she was going, right? So she walked up to the old lady, and she noticed that the old lady was dressed like real old school, like you know,
Decades ago.
no, maybe 1920s, maybe 30s. You know what I mean? Just like a real old lady with a shawl and the whole 9 yards. Had a black shawl, really couldn't see her face and whatnot. So she walked up to the lady and asked the lady, "Hey, can I help you? You lost and whatnot?" And the lady turned around and like looked at her and didn't really say nothing. And so she didn't say nothing, and she turned back around and she said, "I'll just go upstairs," right? But she said she took like 3 or 4 steps and something told her to turn around. She turned around, that lady was gone, disappeared into thin air. And there was nowhere for her to go. The way the hallway was, and she would have to have walked from here to the sign right here in order to disappear. And she was an old lady, she couldn't even move that fast, you know what I mean?
Wow.
So she quit on the spot.
Oh, wow.
That was her end of her career. And she just graduated from college, just that and other, but that freaked her out so much. Because it was real, it happened, you know what I mean? And right in front of her eyes, you know? Like, and she quit, she was done.
Now, Pablito, what do we call that, man? Are those ghosts? Are those?
I would call it a ghost, a spirit. I mean, come on, you know, who disappears? You know what I mean? I don't know anyone that disappears like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's pretty heavy. You know what I mean? And I believe her because I've had experiences in that same mortuary too with my dad at night. You know what I mean? You know the like toilets flush and the kitchen sink upstairs, the water would get turned on and. The water would be running and just a bunch of weird. It's almost like they're taunting you. They're like little kids and want to play games with you and poke at you. Like one night, me and my dad were there. I don't know. It was probably like 3, 4 in the morning. I don't know what we were doing. I think, my dad was a musician. I had a set of drums there, so me and my dad used to just try to rock out and just whatever. You know what I mean? And we never forget, like, one night somebody was ringing the doorbell, like somebody was killing somebody outside, right? Just on this doorbell, right? So damned if we were going to go downstairs and answer the door, you know what I mean? Because upstairs we were able to look out the window in the front and we could see exactly who was ringing the doorbell. Or if anybody was ringing it and decided to run down the street and whatnot, right? So we went out there and looked, there was nobody, you know what I mean? So a lot of little stuff like that, you know what I mean? It's all very real. Just happens?
Yeah.
No.
No, you know what? Because I know something like that would have literally scared the hell out of me, but it's funny because when you were sharing that and you were kind of describing this woman, I was picturing her, but but it's weird, like you said. Something told her to turn around. She turns around. It's no longer there.
Something told her to turn around. Like she took 4 or 5 steps, like nothing. Turning around to see if she needed help or whatever the deal was. And she turned around, she was gone.
Yeah.
And there was nowhere for her to go. There was no door for her to open and go in or nothing. It was just a hallway.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know we've had people call in and share stuff like that where people have, they'll see somebody maybe across the street from their house, looking at their house, looking around, somebody walking in their yard. They come out the front door to ask them, and there's no person,
I'd be sitting there because, they'd have a day room upstairs with a TV and whatnot. So I'd be up there just watching TV, you know what I mean? Watching whatever, Gilligan's Island or whatever, And I hear someone coming up the stairs. Nobody. And someone's coming up the stairs.
Yeah.
Okay, someone's coming up the stairs. And I'm like, wait a minute. The door to the downstairs is locked.
Right.
I locked it. You know what I mean? So,
right.
You know what I mean?
You're right. You're right. How do you explain that?
What, they had a key? You know what I mean? Because when I went and checked, the door was still locked. Nobody was there.
Yeah.
But 30 seconds prior to that, I heard somebody walking up the stairs. That's why I got up and went to see who it was. It tripped me out because the door's locked. You know what I mean? The only way they could get in is someone comes from upstairs outside to try to come in. This is inside already.
Yeah.
So I was like, so every time I hear someone come up the stairs, I don't even bother with it. You know what I mean?
Right. You were just used to it already.
Yeah.
And do you still have family there at that mortuary?
They sold that one in Huntington Park several years ago, and they moved east. So they're all in like Montebello, I think Pico Rivera maybe, City of Whittier. You know what I mean? So they kind of went east and took over all that area right there. So, they have one on like Beverly and Gerhardt. It's like a real big one.
So you still have family involved?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever go visit there?
I want to see like my dad's cousin, the old guy, the main guy that owns all of them. You know what I mean? I hear he's there on Sundays, and I want to go see him and just for old sake and catch up with him because he hasn't the slightest clue what I've been doing, and he probably thinks I'm just been up to no good. You know what I mean? So I'd like to just go chop it up with him, and it would be good to see him. And I know he would probably trip out to see me. And I'm sure once he found out, what I'm involved with and whatnot, he'd give me the thumbs up,
Awesome. So here's what we're going to do, Pablito. We're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute intermission break. When we come back, we're going to just talk a little bit more, and then we'll start taking phone calls.
Perfect.
We get a lot of people that call in, and a lot of people that call in, share their stories, or they may even have questions for you. The majority of the time, I usually ask them where they're from, and do you have a question for Pablito, or is there something you want to share? We get a lot of people from out of states that call in and share their freaky tales. So with that being said, let me go ahead and encourage you to call in, and when we come back from our 5-minute intermission break, go ahead and when that number comes up, call us. Let's keep that phone ringing, and we'll take your calls. And if you got a story you want to share, something that you've been through, something that you've seen, something that you experienced, maybe it's happened to a friend, maybe it's happened to a family member, maybe it's still going on in your life right now, you want to call and share it, that number will pop up. When it does, please call in and share with us. So with that being said, we will be back in 5 minutes. So see you back. Freaky Tales podcast on this Friday. Welcome back, everybody, to Freaky Tales on this Friday. And once again, my very special guest, Pablito. But once again, let me go ahead and just make another announcement that we're going to be bringing up the number in a moment, and we encourage you guys to call in. We love taking calls. We love answering questions. And then we can elaborate on what's going on with your story. We will. If not, then you know what? You could just call and just share and tell us what was going on in your life. And like I said, maybe something you experienced, maybe something is still going on, maybe there's something that happened to your family member, or maybe there's something that your friend might have shared with you and you just kept it to yourself. And if you want to call Freaky Tales and share it with us, we would greatly appreciate it. We would like to thank everybody who has subscribed, everybody who's tuning in, everybody who stayed up, everybody who's at home watching, or probably in your car listening to us. We want to thank you for being a part of this show. With that being said, Pablito, as I was sharing with you, and I think that this is a pretty fascinating story. I knew this guy and I knew him personally. He claimed that he was a Satanist at one point. And
You believe him?
I would probably say 80% yes. The reason why I guess I gave him 80% because of how he told me this story. I have a pretty good judgment of character where I could see someone and I know if they're lying. And he told me, a lot of things, but here's what he said. That he got tired. He got into it because of the power. That's what he said. He got into it because of the power, meaning I can do this to this guy and I don't necessarily have to touch him. I could just send something his way and it'll happen. But what he learned, that it came back to him. And it got to the point, he said, where there's evil spirits, entities, whatever you want to call it, were literally yanking him out of his bed at night. The worst one was when they threw the blankets over his head and they beat him up, almost like a gang of dudes beat him up. Now, he said after many, many years of that, he denounced, I guess, his satanic
Beliefs.
Yes. And I give you his story in a nutshell. So I asked him this. From serving Satan to denouncing his beliefs, what has been the difference? And here's what he said. I can sleep now. He said, I'm not afraid to sleep. He said, I have peace in my life now. He says, even though I got into it because of the power and I attended many, many group meetings.
Is he into Jesus now, or he just denounced his beliefs and just continued his life?
Yeah, just denounced it. And he said that he had peace now. And I said, wow. And he said that when he denounced his beliefs, that the group that he belonged to, I guess the cult that he belonged to, he said it started threatening him. And I was like, really? He goes,
the people in the living world? Like the other people that worship like him?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, that they started threatening him. Because pretty much...
Like what that they were going to put the kukui on him, or they were physically going to harm him?
No, put the kukui on him. Like, watch what's going to happen to you. Because they believed that he was backstabbing them, And they saw him like a traitor, and he said that because he said when he first started, everything just started happening like, wow, I can do this to someone. And he said that's what he fell in love with, was the power.
It's funny, Tony. I don't know, man. You don't really know who you're dealing with, I guess, at times.
Yeah.
Until they just show you a sign, or they just finally come out with it, or whatever. You know what I mean? But on like, let's say Facebook, for example, you know what I mean? I'm down with everybody, you know what I mean? I don't discriminate nobody or nothing, you know what I mean? Who am I? I'm nobody, you know what I mean? But there's this dude on Facebook, and all of a sudden this dude's just super Satan worshiper dude, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, just, and to me, he overdoes it with it. It wasn't like that before, but he claimed to be that all this time, but why he just hopped out the closet with it, who knows? I don't really pay too much attention to it, but it's like, I don't see what they get from it, or what do they get out of it, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't wish no bad on nobody. I wish everybody the utmost success in life, But he's always doing bad. He's always posting that he ran out of gas or this happened to him or that happened to him. Or, I mean, it's almost like I want to tell him, man, just like, you better start worshiping someone else or something else, because it doesn't seem like anything's working for you, or I don't know what you're trying to do, but your life's in complete disarray. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, if you believe in that, and what does it do for you? You know what I mean? Or what are you trying to accomplish?
Pablito, let me ask you this, because this subject has came up quite often. Do you believe that, whether, I'm just not going to say rappers, but just artists in general, do you believe that in the idea that an artist can sell their soul to the devil for success?
Oh, you know what, man? That's a tough one right there. I don't know. I don't know if I can answer that, but I'll tell you one thing. It's like, there is such a level of success, I believe, that, man, you never know what's around the corner. You know what I mean? Or it's this success and the type of money these artists see today is just mind-boggling. You know what I mean? And I mean, this is a whole other subject, but if you would have asked me, do I think there's some kind of like, and again, nothing against gay people, or I'm down with everybody, you know what I mean? But, I don't know if you know, I'm sure you do, that there's like this gay mafia and they control the industry and all this crazy stuff like that. I mean, there's too many signs of that I've seen in this industry to like not lead me to believe that it don't exist. You know what I mean?
Right.
To each his own. You know what I mean? But there's just too much weird shit going on.
Yeah,
man.
it is.
It really is, man. Like, it's just crazy. You know what I mean?
There was a guy, a rapper, that just released. He called it his satanic shoe. He did so many of them. Each shoe contains a certain amount of blood, human blood in it, and I forgot what he said on it for, maybe $1,000 if I'm correct. And it has a scripture.
We represent him. He's our client.
Okay, so you know about this.
Yes.
Okay, now, was that his idea?
Well, to be honest with you, like that side of our company, it's the rap department, or the music side of it, whatnot. It's like, it's almost crazy. Like, none of us even really kind of asked. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we get on the phone with each other every week. And I don't care if you're in Jersey or New York or LA. We all get on. And it's, it's funny because none of us, it's like, my question was like, man, was that real blood?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I didn't even bother to ask. And they would have answered me. Their question, I think someone said something about that cat on the other day on one of the calls. And he was like, look, guys, I didn't want to send you the video and this and that and other, because you were gonna, you're gonna see it, and I'll take the questions from there. But beforehand, and to take all those questions, no. So, but nobody, like, I don't know. The kid's doing his thing, you know what I mean? And I don't know. I just think it's a weird way to, marketing or whatever.
You think it's a marketing scheme?
Yeah, this is. Come on, man. This, you think there's real blood in there, or there's any real intent to
Did you see the video
shoe or anything? Actually, no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I heard all about it. You know what I mean? And I don't have to see it based on what I heard about it. But this is Hollywood, man. This is entertainment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's maybe in some eyes, or a lot of eyes, it's a weird form of it, but. It's just a lot of weird shit happens.
In the video
in California and LA.
In the video, he's giving Satan a lap dance, and then at the very end, he breaks Satan's neck and takes his crown. Yeah. So I just thought, like, wow.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's entertainment. It's Hollywood. I just think it's, it was it's a marketing thing.
If they gave you a pair of those shoes, would you wear them?
Would I wear them?
Yeah.
What I'd probably do is toss them up on eBay or offer up or something.
Okay.
And get some loot for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or either put them in my office in a little case.
Showcase.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But would I ever wear something like that? No way, man. I'd rather wear some Bootsy Collin boots before I throw those on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and put the number on the screen, and when you guys are ready, be ready to call in and share your freaky tales. And like I said, we want you to share your story. Keep it between 2 to 3 minutes, please, and we will elaborate and talk about whatever they call to share. We get a lot of calls, so hopefully that you guys are not afraid to call and share. So we're encouraging you to call and share your freaky tales with me and Pablito, or if you just have a question for Pablito, then we can go ahead and do that as well. But the number is on the screen, and caller, give us an opportunity. Go ahead and put your headphones on. We're setting up our headphones. Caller, are you there?
Hi, Tony. Hey, it's Candace.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. This is Candace from Bakersfield. I don't know if you were talking about me last time on Freaky Tales, and you called me Claire.
Oh, I'm not sure.
No, I was just calling in to share a story about something similar to what you guys were talking about earlier about the man that you said that was in the morgue and he was still alive.
Oh, yes.
And you heard him
Moaning.
Okay. Well, something similar happened to my dad when he was younger. He actually accidentally OD'd, and they took him. They pronounced him dead and everything, and he was in the hospital. And you know how they take you down to the basement when you're dead,
Yes.
They already had the toe tag on him and everything, and the lady that was wheeling him down, he just he popped up. He was still alive, and the lady was freaking out, started running down the hallway and everything because he wasn't dead, but they
Wow.
thought he was dead. I guess maybe his heart wasn't beating, or it was just a very low beat that they couldn't detect. Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, that happened to him when he was younger. Yeah. So it was. I just wanted to share that because of what he said.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, you're lucky that, or he's lucky, I should say. Thank God that a pathologist didn't start, because right away when, they roll you into the coroner's office, of course they assume you're dead, and they'll start chopping you up. You know what I mean? They'll open you up and start, draining you and taking out your organs and open up your cranium and all that stuff. So, thank God that,
Yeah.
that didn't happen.
Awesome. Thank you,
Really.
Candace.
Well, if it did, I wouldn't be here.
Yes. Thank you, Candace.
Yeah.
Greatly appreciate you calling.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay.
you. Bye-bye. Okay, callers. Let's get a couple of more calls in. If something you want to share, or maybe you have a question for Pablito, make sure to call us. But until until we get another caller, we were talking about the client that, as far as the music, we said it's Hollywood. And back in the days, for some reason, we thought that every rock artist was a devil worshiper, if you remember that. Caller. Hello, caller, you there?
Oh, hey, Tony.
Yes.
What's going on?
What's going on? How you doing? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Leo. I'm calling from the San Fernando Valley. How you fellas doing?
Good.
How's it going, man?
All right. Yeah, just wanted to, I guess, give you guys a little story that that happened to me. Where I continue to see things where I don't know if you guys have seen shadow figures, but that just creeps me the hell out because I see that they're 8 or 10 feet tall. So occasionally I do see those just like zooming by, or like we're driving down like the neighborhood or whatever. I do see that. There was also this one time where I have a friend who's a psychic, and she told me years before. She said that medication kind of like lowers your, like, I guess you, like Tony says, a gift, quote unquote, if you call it a gift. But like sensitive, if like you're sensitive, medication kind of like lowers your vibe, or your aura, I should say, and you're not as sensitive. So what happened was a few years back, I lost my grandfather. But before that, I would occasionally see like shadows just like zoom right by, and I would get anxiety of death. And normally, what would happen is, I want to say like a few days or a few weeks after, I would get that anxiety of dying. There was a death in the family. So I don't know if you guys have ever experienced something like that.
Oh.
But I know that once I went through depression after I lost my grandfather. I started taking medication, and it all kind of slipped away. Like I'm not as sensitive to that kind of thing, but I just wanted to see if maybe you guys might have experienced something similar.
I sure haven't, and I'm sorry to hear that about your grandfather.
I can't say I have either. Everybody's experiences when it pertains to this subject it varies. You know what I mean? I just hope that you're in a better place, and you don't have to really have to deal with that as much.
Yeah. Do you still see this till today?
Occasionally, listen, like for example, I do get, I guess, kind of like premonitions. I haven't seen shadow figures, but I do get premonitions, like in the sense like there was a few months back, there was a time where I felt like I had like a tumor growing in my body, but I knew it wasn't my body. And a few days later, I found out that my wife's uncle had a tumor growing on his, I believe it was his kidney. So, things like that still occur, but it's not as frequent now that I'm on antidepressants.
Wow. Okay, well, those are some freaky tales right there, and I'm glad you called and shared with us, man.
Yeah.
So thank you, man.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Be good,
you.
huh?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, with the number still up, so taking more calls. Anybody want to call and share the freaky tales, or just ask Pablito a question? We truly appreciate it. So go ahead and call. I know there's a lot of people that always DM me or inbox me and always tell me. Okay, caller. Always
Hello?
tell me. Yes. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Raymond, calling from Vernon.
Okay, Raymond, how you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
We're doing good. We're doing
Good, Raymond. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I just had a little story to share about some time ago when I was in high school, which was like 5 years ago. I was in the restroom, and I seen something in the mirror, and the lights went off, and I don't know what it was, and I kind of just like freaked out and ran out the restroom.
Were you by yourself, Raymond?
Yeah, I was on myself, man.
And what actually
So this
did you?
day I kind of
What do you think you actually saw in the mirror, or what? Can you describe it?
it was like a young girl with long hair.
Oh wow!
And I thought it was. I looked back where the direction of where I seen it, which was like a couple stalls behind me. And I don't know what happened, but I thought it was like some sort of prank, and I just ran out. Pretty much just freaked out. I ran out, and to this day, I don't know if it was a prank or I don't know what it was.
Now, let me ask you something, Raymond. Ever since then, have you ever experienced anything else?
Honestly, that's it, man. That was the only weird shit I've ever been through.
And what high school was this, Raymond?
the city of Huntington Park.
Oh, Huntington Park High School?
Yes.
Okay, I went to that school. So what restrooms? In the main building, outside, near the swimming pool, near the tennis courts? What restrooms was this?
The big 300s building.
Oh, wow. I mean, I can tell you one thing. You know, I mean, I believe what you saw, but it definitely wasn't a prank. You know, I could tell you that much. Was this like normal school hours?
Yeah, man. This was, I believe it was like after lunch.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Wow. Well, thank you for calling, man, sharing that. I wish we could elaborate a little bit on that, but I yeah, that was just a freaky tale. So thank you, Raymond. You have a blessed night.
Same to you, man. Thank you.
Peace.
Awesome. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and continue, take calls, and if you got something you guys want to share, something that happened to you. Hello, caller. Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Your name and where are you calling from?
Jose, I'm calling from Chicago.
Chicago.
What's up, Jose?
What's up? How you guys doing, man?
How about you, man? How's Chicago treating you tonight?
Chicago, man. It treats me the same every time, man.
That's right.
But I got. Is there any way I could send you guys videos or pictures so we could talk about something that I experienced?
Yeah, you can go to Freaky Tales Podcast at gmail.com. Freaky Tales Podcast at gmail.com, and you can just send us there whatever you want.
Okay, then I call you guys back. We talk about it, or should we talk about it now? Or
you could just talk about it now because I don't have time to look up the email, but you can send it later, I guess, after.
Okay, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, go for it.
My question is, you guys are talking about spirits, people passing. What about animals?
Good question.
I'm honestly,
have you guys?
Honestly, I mean, I've never had any personal experience with animals, but I'll tell you one thing. I believe. I trust me. Animals have a special bond here with people when they're on Earth and life. That carries on in the afterlife. So I believe that. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I had an unfortunate incident happen. My house caught fire about 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
There was nobody home. The only ones home were my two dogs, and so they were the only ones that passed. So we were, we had to, insurance took care of everything. So we were living in another place for a year, and the first weekend we came back, I decided to. We were, having a little party, a little get together, and for the first time ever, late in my life, I was in my late 30s, and I did mushrooms for the first time. And that opened my mind towards another reality. Yeah.
Now, when you say toward another reality, can you elaborate a little bit more on that and what you mean by that?
Literally another reality, Tony.
So it's like this. So what I was seeing under the effect of the mushrooms, I was telling my because we were in my backyard. And I was telling the people to look up because there was something happening in the sky. It was like you could say like a big ghost kind of in the sky. And when I was telling the other people that were with me, they were also under the effect. But when I would tell them to look, it's as if what was up there was only for my eyes because they wouldn't turn around. All they had to do was just turn around and look, but for some reason they didn't turn around. So I took pictures of it, and you can see the pictures where stuff is manifesting what looks like a cloud, but it's a different shade of white from the cloud. I mean, it's nighttime. It's like 1 a.m. And you can see the actual clouds, but you can see this thing morphing. It's like morphing into a figure. I got pictures of this.
Wow.
Later on that night, I'm in my house. This is the first night I'm back in my house, my original house, after I got all fixed up and everything.
And you're still,
I'm chilling in my house.
and you're still on a good one, right?
Right.
Okay.
I'm still under the effect. Right.
Okay.
So this is like, so that incident I'm talking to you where I seen the stuff in the sky. This happened around 1 a.m. because I still got all that info. When you take pictures, it tells you the date, the date, the time when you took the pictures or the video, right? So about 2 hours later, I'm inside my house. I don't remember how the heck I got in my house, but I was in my house, and the only ones at home was me. Inside the house was me and my daughter. And I'm in the living room, and I hear like this real crazy banging in my kitchen. I go check it out. There's nobody there. I'm like, what the heck? That scared the crap out of me. So I come back, and I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm dozing off. And I start hearing it again. So then I grab my phone. I realize, wait, well, something's going on here. So I grabbed my phone. I snapped a picture. But then I was like, wait, my phone's got video, man. Let me get the video going. As soon as I got the video going, I had this little like orbs fly all over the camera, in front of the camera, and then a little light appeared. The little light starts flashing. Okay, so as I'm watching this, I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, what's going on here? Well, as that happens, something hits my knee. And as I turn the phone over to look at my knee, you see the orbs bouncing off my knee.
Wow.
Orbs bouncing off my knee.
Orbs.
So what I ended up noticing was that where the first light appeared, when the light first appeared, that's where one of my dogs passed away. The other dog, when I got hit in the knee, when I felt that little touch on my knee, it wasn't a hit, it was just like a little bump on my knee, and I looked down, you could see the orbs bouncing off my knee in the video. And that's where my other dog, my big dog, my pit bull, had passed away because he was chained up when the fire was going on.
Wow.
And so right where the orbs showed up, that's where my big dog had passed. And I was just like, because my big dog was like 13 years old and the little dog was 7.
Wow.
I just thought it was a pretty cool, experience to have because, I know everybody always talks about people and stuff like that, but you never hear the animal ones,
Right.
But just recently, if you go on YouTube, you see a lot of stuff where like cats and dogs are appearing back in people's houses after they die.
I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna check that out. I've never really looked into that, but just out of curiosity, because I believe you. You know what I mean? Just because your animals are not here in life.
I was saying, I would love to send it to you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But
yeah, please send it to freakytalespodcast@gmail.com.
So maybe we'll check it out when we're all done here before we close up. You know what I mean? It'll get here in time.
Yeah, most definitely.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate your story, man.
But all right, thank you guys, man.
Yes.
Tony, big fan of yours, man. You
Thank
stay
you.
up, Pablito.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, man. Love from Chicago. Hey, Tommy, keep up that good work, man. I hope one day I get to meet you out there, man. When I go on vacation out there, bro.
Absolutely, let's do that.
You got a lot of history in the hip hop game, bro. Respect, brother. Respect.
Thank you. Chicago's in the building. Let's go ahead and keep the calls coming in. Pretty good so far, Pablito. You enjoy yourself?
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here, man.
People are calling from other places with just other stories, and
it's funny because the paranormal is a universal language. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
oh yeah.
Caller, are you there? Hello.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, man? What's your name? Where you calling
Sorry
from?
about that. Rico. I'm from St. Louis, bro.
St. Louis.
What's
okay.
going on, Rico? How you doing this evening, man?
All right, man. Kind of just got out of work.
Good for you, man. Good for you.
Yeah. So, hey, I just wanted to touch on something. I want to ask Pablito something. I saw you on your first episode with Tony. I was going to ask you, if you had to pick, what was the most disturbing? It could be like psychological, or it could be, like if you saw it or mentally fucked up at the more. Like, what would you say is the worst thing you see?
There's too many, but I'll tell you one that kind of really stands out. Okay, and it kind of really it was really sad. A lot of this stuff really doesn't affect me, because we all got to go, unfortunately, and whatnot. But sometimes, depending on certain cases, it might hit home. And when that happens, it usually has to do with children. You know what I mean? So I remember one instance that I happened to walk into the mortuary, and the decomposition smell was so bad that I had to walk out. And then I got a good stomach and whatnot, this, that, and other. And I asked my dad, what is that? He said, well, he says, it was a 4-year-old little boy that had been buried for 2 years. Okay? And the family just, oh yeah, listen to this. So I got to see what a body looked like after being buried in 6 feet under the cemetery for 2 years. And I mean, that's probably the only time I got to see that, but so trip on this. So the family, and this usually happens in the Mexican culture for some reason. I guess a lot of family members are from Mexico or in Mexico. They couldn't come over here and be a part of the funeral service, or just for some reason decide to bring the kid up or the body up and send it to Mexico and bury it in Mexico at the cemetery over there, right? It's pretty customary and whatnot. So anyway. So they brought this little kid up, and it was so sad because I remember this like it was yesterday. He had this little baby blue suit on, and he was pretty decomposed, you know what I mean? But he was still intact, you know what I mean? But he had this like real like baby blue suit on. His casket was like baby blue, and it was kind of faded and whatnot, but he had these angel wings and this halo on too. So that kind of like tripped me out in the respect that that his family, who doesn't see their child as an angel or from God or whatnot, but to actually see that and 2 years after the fact and the stench of the decomposition and whatnot, and it was a sight to see.
It was very touching.
Yeah, it was very. It was sad. It was. Yeah, it was. It was not only disturbing. It was heartbreaking. You know what I mean? This little kid was hit by a car. You know what I mean? To top it off, he was playing and with his little brothers and sisters, and he chased a ball into a street or whatnot, and the car came and ran him over. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, that's probably one of them that kind of pretty much stands out right there.
Yeah, dude. That's tough.
Yeah, it was really tough, man. And usually the majority of them don't hit me that way. You know what I mean? But that one was one of them, and like I got a lot of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Thank you, caller. We really appreciate you calling in.
I'm glad to see you back on here, man. I put on Tony's page on Freaky Tales. You gotta get Pablito back on here, bro.
Thanks, man.
These stories are fucking sick.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. You have a great evening, man.
You too, man.
Thank you.
All good. Like I said, they were requesting you.
As well. I mean, like I said, Tony, we can sit here all night. I was going to jump into another one right after that one, but...
Well, hopefully somebody calls and asks you another question. Yeah, so let's keep the calls coming. I know you guys are out there watching, so...
St. Louis.
Yeah, don't be afraid to call. But other than that, Pablito, those kind of stories are very, very heartbreaking, man, because they stay with you, and especially like you said, it involves children.
Those are the only ones, Tone, that really kind of bum me out. When you get a little girl that's 3 or 4 years old that drowns in a swimming pool.
Yeah. Caller, are you there? Hello, caller.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing? Your name and where you calling from?
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm calling from Gallup, New Mexico.
Okay. How you doing?
All right. Yeah, I got a freaky tale for the mortician, bro.
Yes.
Back in the day, my parents told me a story about this guy. Back in the day, they had a mortuary, and he used to get the bodies, bro, and stick them in his car and put cigarettes in their mouth and shit, and fucking drive them around and show them to people, bro. And people were like, "What the fuck?" This guy was a fucking sicko, bro. This guy was a fucking sicko. He used to do shit to the bodies and shit, bro. He ended up fucking going to prison because he ended up going to his auntie's and raping her and killing her. And in prison, the story goes, they got a hold of him and fucking hung his ass, dude.
Wow. that mortuary could have been sued from here to Kingdom Come for that. You know what I mean? They could have lost their license and got a large judgment against them and the whole 9 yards. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm gonna be honest with you, mortuaries and that just type of business, it kind of draws a certain,
individual.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean, and a lot of times, not all of them are hitting on all 6 cylinders.
Right. Wow, that is a crazy story. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Crazy shit, dude.
Thank
I
you.
believe
Later,
it.
Big Tone. You guys stay up. Have a
Thank
good
you,
night.
man. Have a great night.
Yes, sir. Have a good evening. That's pretty wild, Pablito, because like you said, and I was going to ask you being in that business, what would happen if one of the family members found out that he was doing that? You said that mortuary could be sued.
You're gonna own the mortuary.
True.
You know what happens a lot too, and how can you even, how can you even let this happen? A lot of people have the wrong family member buried. You know what I mean? They'll confuse or mix up the bodies somehow. And, my grandmother got buried last week, and I walk into the mortuary and walk into the rosary and I'm like, who's this lady?
Wow.
So that happens, Wow. Prepare for big lawsuits.
Yes. Hello, caller, are you there?
Hi, can y'all hear me?
Yes. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Tony. My name's Roberto. I'm calling from Escondido over here in North County, San Diego.
Awesome, man. Awesome. How you doing tonight?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Good, man. Just right here, enjoying my night, discussing freaky tales with Pablito.
Nice. I got a story I want to share with y'all, and it was passed down to me by my mom, and it actually happened to her mom, so to my grandmother. May she rest in peace.
Yes.
May she rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
So the story goes that one day my grandmother was going about her day, just walking through the village over in Mexico, right? And out of nowhere, a young boy appeared in her arms. Now, by the way my mom made it sound, this boy had to be between 6 and 12 years old. And the boy actually spoke to her, and he said, this isn't my fault. This is so-and-so's fault. And he actually gave 2 names.
Oh, wow.
Now, the names that he gave were names of 2 people that lived in the village as well. And get this, at the time, the rumor was that those people that the boy named, it was rumored that they were experimenting with dark magic and that they were targeting people in the village.
Wow. And these 2 names that this boy gave, were those people that maybe, I don't know if you know, were they ever tracked down or?
Not too sure. I do know that, according to the story, my grandmother did confront them and say, hey, I don't want you two messing with me. And that was basically the end of that.
Wow. And you said, and this boy just appeared on her arm?
Yes, he appeared. He said, this isn't my fault. This is so-and-so's fault. And just like that, he vanished.
Wow.
I mean, if your grandmother came to those people with that story, I wouldn't blame them for
being freaked out,
for leaving her alone. You know what I mean?
Exactly, because those people now know. How does she know? Or,
sometimes we get some type of sign, or I believe there's some type of message, type of communication somehow, indirectly, subconsciously. You know what I mean? Because I'm a strong believer that there's no such thing as a coincidence.
Right. I believe that as well. So, thank you calling from Escondido, man.
Thank you, man.
Truly appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night, and keep it up, Tony. I like the podcast.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man.
Have a blessed evening. Well, we'll take like 2 more phone calls. So let's see who would call. We're running out of time. Let's get 2 more phone calls in, and we'd definitely love to hear from you. So I know people are watching. They told me a lot of you told me I'm gonna call in tonight, and we should be having these phones ringing off the hook. So, with that being said, I know we were talking about. Wow, that one kind of freaked me out right there because he said the boy just appeared and he gave 2 names.
You know.
Yeah. So and like you said,
I believe that lady.
Yeah.
You know?
Like you said, there is no such thing as coincidence.
I've never seen it to be or know it to be that way.
Right.
You know.
Everybody, we got a couple of more minutes. We're about to take about 2 more phone calls. The phone number is on the screen. And for the other individual that called, once again, if you want to send in that video or those pictures, freakytalespodcast@gmail.com. freakytalespodcast@gmail.com. And I will be starting up soon a Freaky Tales TikTok page. Freaky Tales TikTok page. And sharing some of the stories in a nutshell and on that page as well. Other than that, we'll give you guys another opportunity to call in and share whatever's on your mind. Other than that, Pablito, while we're waiting for a phone call, was there anything that while we're wrapping this up that maybe you wanted to share, maybe another story that stuck to your mind? Just like that gentleman called and said, you know, what was the craziest thing you ever saw outside of that child? Give us another one that maybe you might have seen. Oh, we got a caller.
I'll answer that. Go ahead. But
okay, caller, are you there?
Hello.
Yes. Your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Hector, and I'm calling from Washington.
Washington.
How you doing, Hector?
I'm on. What's up, Pablo and Tony?
All good, my brother. We're over here just enjoying our night, and we're glad you called in. What did you want to share, or was there a question?
Yeah, man. I got a question for Pablo. Yeah, I got a question. Like with all those suicide bodies that you see or worked on, like what do you guys do with the organs? Like, do you think it's so valuable like to sell? Like,
well, I'm gonna tell you.
Do they keep them?
I guess like to the DMV, it all depends, in the amount of time you pass or how you pass. Like, say for example, you're in a car wreck or something. They're able to save some organs. If they can, they will. Okay, and usually what they try to get to is like corneas for the eyes. Some organs. Because a lot of people need organs.
Kidney, liver.
Yeah, and what stuff like that. But usually, like, for example, any, John or Jane Doe, whatever, we pass away tomorrow. Okay, so what happens, you go to downtown to the LA County corners, they open you up. You have like a rib plate, right below your skin. So they pull that off and they pull out all your organs. And they inject the body with formaldehyde with that chocar I was talking about earlier, that big giant needle. So they'll open you up and they'll pull all your organs out, and they'll stick that in and they'll hit you on the inside of your rib cage and the inside of your lower legs and both sides. They hit you all different spots to get the formaldehyde that's like stiffen you up. Then they get all your organs.
Yeah.
No, okay. While they're doing that, they get like it looks like a big olla where you could put make menudo out of. They put all your organs in that. And then they'll get a trash bag, and then they'll put all your organs in a trash bag and they'll knot it up. And then when they're done injecting you with formaldehyde, they'll put the bag in your body, put the rib cage over the bag, and sew you up. And maybe put some cotton, rows of cotton, like maybe on top of that or whatever, and they'll just sew you up. And they'll do the same thing with your cranium. Like they have like a little machine, like a little small little. It's like it cuts, whatever, So they'll cut a hole in your cranium, and they'll pull your brain out. You know what I mean? And I think they put the brain in the bag with your organs and whatnot, and they'll stuff your cranium with cotton and like formaldehyde, and then it's like a puzzle. They cut your cranium out in a certain way to where once they pull your scalp back, it's really weird because your scalp, like let's say for example, like I cut just enough of my scalp all across this, from ear to ear. I could pull my scalp.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a mask. Like I could pull my face off, you know what I mean? Basically. So what they do is they'll take the brain out, probably put it in the bag as well with all the organs, and then they'll stuff the cranium with like cotton, like rolls of cotton, and they'll place the cranium back and they'll pull your face back, you know, to normal. They'll sew it up and you're good to go.
Now, only if you're a donor, then they donate your organs.
Yeah, you have to be a donor. They're not just gonna. And then. Go ahead.
A non-smoker.
Yeah. You know what I mean? You don't want to, give somebody a lungs when you've been smoking Camel non-filters for 50 years. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So, or you don't want to, give somebody a liver from some guy that's been drinking his whole life and died of cirrhosis of the liver. You know what I mean? Now, let me give you a quick story. Let me give you a quick story. So, I'd come home from school and whatnot, and my dad would call for me. So I'd have to walk over to the mortuary and be like, oh shit, you know, what did I do? What does my dad want to talk to me about and whatnot? So I'd walk into the embalming room, and he'd have a body wide open. He'd be doing a body. And he was there to just tell me how, and my dad was loaded all the time, you know what I mean? My dad was on everything, drank everything. So here he is trying to school me about being sauced up or being drinking when he's already sauced up telling me the story. But he'll pull a liver out of a body. He did that one time and said, look, don't drink, because you see this liver right here? This is how your liver's gonna be. See this guy right here? He's all, because the guy was all yellow. The body was yellow. I was like, man, what happened to this dude? He goes, this guy died of cirrhosis of the liver because he drank his whole life. He drank his life when he died. But when my dad pulled the liver out, a liver's supposed to be like pink and red. This liver was like charcoal gray and purple, and it had holes in it like Swiss cheese.
Wow.
And my dad telling me, look, this is what's gonna happen to you when you know, if you drink, and you know, as he's telling me that, you know, he's sauced up with one eye open, you know, listen to Carrots 101 with the doors on real loud.
A life lesson.
Right?
There you go. Man. Maybe we should put up that picture of that liver at every bar.
Yeah.
So, thank you for calling.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Tony. That's crazy, man. That's shit.
Yeah.
Have a good night, man.
That one freaked you out. All right. We'll take one more caller.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll take one more caller, and we're out of here for the night. One more caller. So who's going to be the lucky, freaky caller? And
where's all the females that are into all this stuff? You know what I mean? You know,
there's a lot of them out there.
I know.
There's a lot of them out there. And let me say this to Candace. She called from Bakersfield. She calls all the time, and
really?
she has great stories. So Candace, thank you for calling.
I believe it. Shout out to Candace.
So let's get another caller. We got a couple more minutes, and if not, I forgot what we were actually talking about right before. Oh, I had asked you a question, and we got cut off because of the caller. I had asked you, I know outside of that little boy passing, what was something else that might have stood out to you?
Remember the prostitute killer here in Los Angeles?
Yes.
That guy that was killing all the prostitutes.
Yes, that was a while ago.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Right? Well, you know, my family's mortuary got one of the cases, you know. And I saw, you know, I'm the type of guy that really don't trust society too much, because I know what society is capable of, you know what I mean? You know, certain individuals in society, you know what I mean? Like, I saw what this individual did to this poor female.
Wow.
I got sisters. I got a mom, I got aunts, I got cousins.
Right.
And to see what this guy did, I'm not even gonna describe what he did to this poor girl. And she was like a young little paisilla that came from Mexico, and I guess was trying to,
make it out here, I guess.
Well, I guess, make it out here, you know what I mean? And, she was obviously on the track and the wrong place at the wrong time. And I mean, I'm telling you, I don't even want to describe what I saw that he did to this poor young female. Like, it just really tripped me out to respect that, like, I know what's out there, and it's not good. You know what I mean?
So he pretty much, if you will, is it safe to say he pretty much just tortured her, did whatever he wanted?
She had like, not to really get into certain detail,
Right.
but she had spots in her body with like 30, 40 stab wounds, and a little bunch here, and another little lower part of her body, and the upper part of her body is 30, 40 stab wounds there. And I mean, like, he just did everything. You know what I mean? You know, raped her and you know, beat her and stabbed her. And I mean, I felt so bad for this poor girl, that the torture and suffering that
she went through.
I could just see it. You know what I mean? Right then and there, and it was heartbreaking.
You know, and I don't remember how that story ended. Did that guy actually ever get caught?
Oh yeah, he just died in prison not too long ago. You know what I mean? But they ended up catching up with him, and let me tell you something. I think he killed, like, I don't know, don't hold me to it, but he killed dozens of women. You know what I mean? This dude was, you know.
So, and this is public knowledge. People can actually look this up.
Yeah, you can look that up. You know, he died in prison not too long ago.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
It was sad, you know. Sad.
Well, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and just end it there because nobody's calling. And go ahead and take off the number, and we'll take off these headphones. And we greatly appreciate everybody who did call in, everybody who tuned in, everybody who subscribed, everybody who commented, everybody on the live chat. We keep it going. We want to thank everybody for being a part of Freaky Tales. Pablito, anything else that you want to share or say before we call it a night on this Freaky Friday?
No, I'm good. Tell me, man, I just want to thank you for having me. And, you know, like I said, you know, these are crazy conversations that I don't have with too many people, but I'm willing to share them with you anytime. And
awesome.
Like I said, you know, this has been a family business, and it's something that, you know, I know very well. You know?
Right.
I've been trying to look for a mortuary to buy myself personally.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
When I find one, I'm gonna buy it.
Awesome. Well, everybody, we would like to thank you for being a part of tonight. Let me go ahead and give some shout outs really quickly. So once again, Pablito, thank you for coming. Thank you for sitting with us and answering questions. Also like to thank my son, B. Scanlon, for helping me promote this. Also like to thank Alex Cervantes Enterprise, and also like to thank Anthony, you know, for everything that he does here and what my whole team does here. Once again, tomorrow I will be around 12 o'clock out in Southgate at a place that we call Horrorville. I think it's like a horror pop-up, something like that. It's like a little convention. I like a lot of horror movies.
What time?
12 o'clock. I'll show you the flyer afterwards.
Okay.
And I'm excited. So I like attending stuff like that. I like Comic Cons. I like going through all that stuff. So tomorrow I'll be out there in Southgate. So look it up. It's called Horrorville, if I'm correct, and it's in the city of Southgate. So with that being said, expect the unexpected. We won't be here next week, but the following week we will. And the next month, the Spice Smuggler returns. So thank you very much. Have a crazy Friday, and we'll see you guys soon.
time.